Now. All right. Hello, everyone. Looks like folks are joining us and piling in. That's great. We're going to go ahead and get started right on time so that we have the full 45 minutes to chat with y'all. My name's Skylar. I'm a member of IACAC, and I'm just here to help facilitate this session and to make sure everything runs smoothly. I do have a few housekeeping notes to let everybody know about before we get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. All right, so just a couple notes for y'all. First off, you may be wondering as a student checking this out, how can you ask questions throughout the evening? We don't have maybe that Q&A type box that you've seen in some of your Zoom meetings before, but rather we have one that is general where you ask a question and our representatives from Cornell College are going to be able to jump in there and respond to you live. So feel free to ask questions at any time. The presenters will be responding with that. Just so you know, this is webinar format, so your cameras and microphones will be turned off and you won't have the ability to turn those on throughout. So again, utilize that Q&A box. I know that our representatives here with us today would love to answer your questions. Another note for you, we're getting towards the end of these sessions, but there are still a few more that you can sign up for. So feel free to head to www.iacac.org to see what other presentations are offered. And then last piece, this is going to be recorded. You will get a recording of this after this is done. So if for whatever reason you do have to hop out early or something like that, rest assured that you're going to get the recording of this afterwards. All right, those are my notes. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the team from Cornell. Thanks y'all for being here.
Thank you so much. I want to say hi to everyone. My name is Megan Kuhn. I'm an Assistant Director of Admission and Chicago Regional Representative for Cornell College. Being a regional representative means I am located in the city of Chicago. So during this presentation, if you happen to hear the whoosh of the L train that passes right by where I live, don't worry, I'm not getting blown away. It's just a train. As you can see, I have two awesome current students with me today. They will be joining us a little bit later for our Q&A. And speaking of the Q&A, we have that box down below. Feel free to enter your questions at any point during this presentation, but we will be answering them towards the end of the presentation. And when you can ask our current students, you know, what classes they take, what are the residence halls like, all that kind of good stuff. So until then, I'm going to get started with a little bit of some more basic information about Cornell, and we will kind of go from there. So my student volunteers, you're welcome to go off camera if you'd like, because I'm going to guess you might already know this information about Cornell College. Alrighty, so here we go. I have a quick video just to share with you to tell you a little bit more about Cornell and show you some of our beautiful campus.
Cornell College offers so many unique opportunities, extraordinary opportunities.
Sorry, folks, just had a brief screen share issue. Let's see if we can get back to it. Just having some technical difficulties here. Sorry about that. Alrighty, there we go. Not sure what happened. Anyway, we will go back and try to play a little bit more of that video. Let's see.
Cornell College offers so many unique opportunities, extraordinary opportunities.
I have never been able to ask of students on the semester plan what I can ask of students on the block plan.
The block plan, or what we call one course at a time, is a unique learning environment where students take one class for 3.5 weeks.
The block plan gives me 18 days to spend all day long with students focusing on one particular subject.
You have these small groups that spend so much time together, and you learn from each other. That discussion-based learning was so fundamental to my education.
It's focused and it's easier to not get distracted, but it's also easier to get involved in things because of the way our days are structured here.
Classes are over by 3, we practice at 3:30. It's the perfect setup of not having to sacrifice academics or my sports life, so it's pretty nice.
We have new facilities in the sciences, so the Russell Science Center is a particularly exciting aspect. We involve students in research in small groups, and so I can get to know them very well and provide the support and mentorship that they need.
Having the flexibility to be with a student for 4 hours a day allows us to engage in hands-on activity to learn the material that we're teaching.
If it's lecture for 4 hours a day, anybody's going to start banging their head against the wall, but we don't do that. We've got studio work, we have lab time, we have field trips.
When you take students to the sites of the content that's being studied, then the material comes alive.
Cornell gave me the opportunity to travel abroad, and that really broadened my horizons, and now I tell every student, you should study abroad. It's such a great enhancement to what you're learning at Cornell.
When I go to Rome with a class, we are investigating ancient Rome, and we can stand in the forum and talk about it. That is an extraordinary experience in and of itself. That is not part of the classroom. And we can do this because there are no other courses in conflict.
I've actually been asked by several parents why other institutions don't use the block system if it's such a wonderful way to learn. The block system is very resource intensive.
When it comes to your professors, they do a phenomenal job of really making sure that they are available for you. They want to see you succeed.
When I'm in a class with students every day, 5 days a week for a month, 4 hours a day, we very, very quickly develop a relationship. Students are really in it together. They're supporting each other, they're helping each other out, they're all proud of each other's accomplishments.
I have class with 16 other people, 24 at the most. So you get this community that values learning and that does everything possible to support a higher level of learning.
When our students go on to graduate school, they report back that it's easy. It's because they're used to pacing themselves and achieving things in a much shorter period of time.
We're just having students going out to great success, and what they're telling us is that the block plan did an excellent job of preparing them for upper level study, even on a semester plan, and also to go out and work in the professional world.
There is no doubt that the level of commitment, the level of engagement, the level of accountability is much higher here than any institutions on the semester plan. The type of commitment to themselves, to their subject matter, to their peers that's possible here, you're not going to find it anywhere else.
If you want to make a difference in the world, you come to Cornell.
Thanks for sitting through that brief introduction video. I like to show it just because I think it has some really beautiful views of our campus, as well as introducing a few of our awesome faculty members. So to move on through that video, you heard a lot about the block plan, one course at a time. And that's really what Cornell is known for. Of course, we're a small private liberal arts college. We were founded way back in 1853, so we have a really rich history, but the thing that most folks know about us is kind of even a more recent development in that long span of time. Back in 1978, our faculty members chose to leave the traditional semester plan behind and operate on a one course at a time system. So this block plan calendar on your screen is actually our calendar from last year. And this shows you kind of what the block plan looks like over the course of a year. Students take one class for 3.5 weeks. Then they get a 4.5-day break, and then they go on to their next class for a total of 8 blocks during your typical year. Because our students are in class for 18 days, focusing on just one subject with just one professor, typically, they're able to dive in a little bit deeper than you might find on a traditional semester plan. So looking at this calendar, each of these colorful blocks shows the time that students spend in class. So you can see you're in class Monday through Friday. Of course, you get your weekends. You know, we're not monsters. We don't expect you to study all the time. And then these ones on the side, or these white blocks, are going to be part of your block break. And during block break, that means there is no academics whatsoever. We expect you to rest, relax. I'm an alum of Cornell myself, so I use those block plan times to maybe clean my room, which I probably hadn't in about 3.5 weeks, catch up on some sleep, you know, hang out with friends. And this allows our students to do a lot more of the hands-on, kind of more experiential learning activities. Like our professor, Scott Olinger, said, we don't rely a lot on lecture because you're in class from typically 9 to 11 in the morning and 1 to 3 in the afternoon. And nobody wants to get lectured at for 4 hours a day. Anybody be banging their head against a wall. So the block plan really allows for a lot more of the discussion-based side of things and more of that type of learning. This is another slide to just explain a little bit more about how one course at a time works in comparison to a traditional semester school. So you'll see that, you know, at a traditional semester school, or like the classes that you might be taking in high school, you're taking them stacked, one on top of another, juggling all those different commitments, things like that. Where at Cornell, we are taking them in a sequential order, starting at 1, going through 4, and focusing on that one thing at a time, whatever that subject might be. You know, if it's an intro to engineering class or film studies or whatever the case may be, all of our courses are taught on the one course at a time model. The nice thing about one course at a time, in partial because of our small class size, our average class size is 16, they're capped at 25. Our faculty and our students have connections that go well beyond the classroom. Like our professors are teachers, yes, but they are also scholars in their own right, researchers, academic advisors, and mentors. I can tell you that I was an English major on Cornell's campus, but I had a really wonderful relationship with a professor who was in the economics department solely because I served him his coffee in the morning when I worked at the local coffee shop downtown. These connections are really life-changing. By the end of 18 days, you've made the kind of rich, more fulfilling connection that leads to wonderful letters of recommendation for graduate school or finding employment, as well as just lifelong friendships with folks who had a deep impact on your education, the way you think, and the way you process your connections with the world. The nice thing about the block plan is that courses also happen where they make sense. That means science courses spending long stretches of time in the lab. Theater courses can devote themselves to performance. And if it makes sense, courses can go off campus during a typical year. You will find courses that go anywhere off campus from 1 day to 3.5 weeks. Our students study Spanish in Argentina, China's economy in Shanghai, or study coral reefs in the Bahamas, as you might imagine. Always a very popular course for our science-minded folks. Nothing like going to the Bahamas in February, where it might just be a little bit colder there in Mount Vernon, Iowa. I'll also give bonus points to anyone tuning in who can find the picture of me in this slide as a student. I did study abroad as a junior, took a trip to Florence to study the Divine Comedy, and you can find me right up there with several of my sorority sisters as well. So studying abroad is a big part of learning at Cornell. About 60% of our students do tend to study abroad, and our courses are taught by Cornell professors. You go with a Cornell class. So it's just another kind of wonderful learning opportunity to take advantage of when you're thinking about the block plan. Our new students are also not expected to tackle the block plan on their own. We have this whole team of folks available to help you through the transition from high school to higher education. This team is pretty well-rounded with a lot of different folks, as you'll see. We don't expect our students to come in and automatically know what it's like to learn on the block plan, right? Basically, no one studies like this in high school. So your first class at Cornell will actually be a first-year seminar, which is an introduction to learning on the block plan. That will be taught by your first-year seminar professor. You can see this person right over here and the duties that they have, guiding you through academic resources, teaching you what collegiate work really looks like, and in an overall just introduction to that block plan style of learning. You'll also have your first year seminar success instructor, and this will be a full-time faculty member on campus who teaches you a little bit more of those soft skills to help you through your time in college. This could be time management, self-care, finding different areas of campus that you might connect with, more folks that you could create this community to have while you're in school. We, of course, also have academic advisors who are full-time professors on campus. So if you are a sociology student, your academic advisor will be a sociology professor, things like that. They help you with course scheduling, of course, but also helping with a little bit more of the career planning in finding internships, research opportunities, things that make for a more enriching collegiate experience throughout the academic year and beyond. Not to mention our upper class student mentors. These can be folks who are helping you with your housing, things like your RA or your resident advisor or assistant. We also have our orientation leaders, which are warmly called flock leaders on our campus. And they really show you how the block plan works for a student. They give you tips about how to succeed on campus. They can tell you where the printers are and how they function, as well as building that community, giving you a well-seasoned Cornellian that you can go to with any questions that you might have. How do I make an appointment at the writing studio? Who's the best person to talk to about civic engagement on campus? Different things like that. So we try to really stack the deck with folks who are able to help our first year students on their transition. Cornell itself is located on a beautiful hilltop in eastern Iowa, one of the tallest hills in Iowa. So as you might imagine, it's not actually that tall. All of our campus is located, or I should say most of our campus is located on this picturesque hilltop. And through these next few slides, I'll just be showing you a little more about campus as to where different things are located and where students can find specific services. So as you can see, we have quite a few residence halls through here. This is our Thomas Commons building, which was renovated back in 2013. This is where, of course, our students eat, where they have their conversations over dinner or visit Zamora's Market, which is our cafe downstairs, as well as housing the Orange Carpet, which is the giant meeting place on campus, lovingly referred to as the OC. Here you can find our different areas of student support, whether that's our health center, which is staffed by full-time nurses who can help you, if you're feeling a little bit under the weather. Right now, we also have our testing facility on campus located there. Right behind there is our campus safety office. The Ebersol building also houses our mental health counseling area where students can receive short-term counseling or be referred out for longer-term counseling. It's also where you can find more information on our Cornell Well-Being Network, which is there to help provide our students with support, mind, body, spirit, so that they're really feeling their best while they're on campus. Our chaplain's office also offers a lot of different spiritual support for our students. Through here, you'll just see some more student activities that students can take part in. Our athletics department, which is a little bit further off screen, you can't really see. And these are some of our more academic centered buildings where students will be taking classes, meeting with their academic advisors, participating in research, all that kind of good stuff. So our campus is pretty well prepped for our students to be able to participate in a lot of different activities and find the support that they need while on campus. And of course, even more flags. I forgot how many there were. Here is where Cornell College is located and related to the larger part of the United States. As you can see, we're only about 4 hours away from Chicago, which is a nice drive for our Illinois students. I'm actually from Central Illinois myself, down around Charleston, Illinois. So that was about a 5-hour drive for me. And we're located so close to so many of the major cities in the US, the Twin Cities up in Minnesota, St. Louis. We're only 2 hours, an hour and a half away from Des Moines, Iowa, and only 15 minutes away from Cedar Rapids, which is the second largest city in Iowa, and Iowa City, which is the 4th largest city in Iowa. You might recognize that because that is where the University of Iowa is located. And we're really thankful to have these folks in our backyard. Our students are able to connect with different businesses there for internships, participate in research, say at the University of Iowa, and go to our famed rivalry games against Cornell College, which is located in Cedar Rapids.
I think students are really excited about classes in the new building. I think that the building is set up in such a way that there's a seamless transition between classroom and laboratory, and I think that's very exciting. In the old building, the transition would be from floor to floor. Here we go from one room right next to a contiguous room, and we're in the lab. The other thing that's pretty exciting about this building, I think, is the open spaces. There's lots of open spaces for faculty and students to interact.
This beautiful photo is of our newest academic building on campus, which you heard Professor Tepper talking about. This is our new Russell Science Center, which is our natural sciences center on campus. It was opened back in 2018, so still very new, and provided a lot more lab space for our students, as well as additional study space and expanded cadaver lab, which I know is a weird thing to brag about, but for the natural sciences folks or the pre-healthcare folks in the audience, I know that's usually pretty important when you're looking at your college search. So we're always committed to improving our facilities, improving our campus, whether that's new health programs, the facilities themselves. We really just strive to be our best. At the end of the day, we know that these improvements are what serve our students and our greater campus community. So we're excited about these facility updates that are constantly happening around campus. Our alumni also go on to some pretty extraordinary things. The class of 2017 was polled about 6 months after graduation, and 96% of those students who responded were gainfully employed. And I do say those who were seeking employment rather than the entire graduating class, because a large number of our graduates go on to graduate work directly after college, whether that's master's degrees, medical degrees. We have a 78% medical school acceptance, which is about double the national average. So we're very proud of that. Or going on to law school, which we have a 5-year average over 90%. So we're also very proud of those folks. So not only will you graduate on time, 95% of our students graduate in 4 years, you'll also be well prepared for whatever you choose to go on to. Cornell College is also a top producer for Peace Corps volunteers, Teach for America volunteers, Avodah, different full-time volunteering efforts, as well as Fulbright scholars. We have some pretty cool success stories from our alumni as well. We have 2 Pulitzer Prize winners, the foremost expert on John Steinbeck. We have an astronaut who has been to space on 4 different space missions. One of our more recent graduates, Harper Reed, served as the Chief Technology Officer for President Obama's re-election campaign, and now serves as a senior software developer for PayPal. We also have a managing director of Global Zero, which is an initiative to eliminate nuclear weapons across the world, as well as an education advocate in her native land of Pakistan. So our students really go on to a pretty wide range of pretty cool activities, if you ask me. And about 60% of our students do pursue graduate degrees within 5 years of graduation. So they're always ready for learning. And as you heard in our video, a lot of students report back that graduate school compared to the block plan feels a little bit easier. We know that as time moves on, the price of college can seem very shocking, and we are deeply committed to making Cornell an affordable option for our students. Our students are eligible for merit-based scholarships with your application. So there's no additional essay writing or applications that you have to worry about when it comes for those larger merit-based scholarships. Those are awarded with acceptance. So you apply, you're accepted, and we say, hey, congratulations, here's your merit-based scholarship. This year, those range from $20,000 to $34,000 a year, and they are guaranteed for all 4 years. We take into account need-based aid, of course. That comes along whenever we receive your FAFSA profile. On average, Cornell students leave with less debt than students who attend the top 3 public institutions in Iowa. We are committed to providing a personalized financial aid package for all of our students. So for our applicants out there who are concerned about the cost of college, please reach out, and you have a dedicated financial aid counselor who is available to chat with you basically anytime. No matter what your concern may be, we'd like to chat with you about it. That's one of the benefits of attending a small liberal arts college, is that we're able to have a little bit more personal of a connection. You have one person who you can go to with your questions. That basically about wraps up all the information that I was going to provide for you about Cornell. Our application is, of course, open for the 2021 year. And I just want to emphasize, it's a pretty easy application to submit. You can apply via the Common App, the Coalition app, the Innovative Student application, or directly through our website. We take self-reported GPAs and test scores. And for our students out there who haven't had the opportunity to take the ACT or the SAT yet, we are a test optional institution. We have been test optional for about 5 years now, so this is not a new thing to us when considering the global pandemic. The only thing that changes if you choose to apply as a test optional student is the essays. We ask for 2 additional short essay questions, and when I say short, I do mean shorter than the typical Common App essay. We don't expect, 600 more words out of you. We know the applications are a bit much to complete in general. So the only thing that we ask for is those 2 test scores and those 2 essays rather, and you are automatically eligible for just as much merit-based aid as someone who is submitting test scores. We don't view it as a lesser form of application. Our test optional applicants are eligible for all the same things as our test submitting applicants. So if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to give me a call or an email anytime. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open it up to some questions. It looks like we have a few hanging out in the box, and I'll invite our current students to go ahead and come back on camera if you would like. We do have one question. I guess I can go ahead and answer this one. This is a little bit more academic. Do students have the same advisor for all 4 years? It depends. If you come in, you know what you want to major in, you get assigned an advisor and you guys click, you are welcome to go ahead and have that advisor for all 4 years. I did, but say you come in thinking you want to be a biology major, and then, oh man, philosophy just comes in and steals your heart, you can definitely switch. Then you would have someone in the philosophy department as your advisor. I'm going to apologize if you guys can hear the train going by. I know it's a little loud, but Connor and Sophia, can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with your academic advisors?
I can go ahead. So my advisor when I was a first year, I had a math advisor because I had no idea what I wanted to study. And math was something that I was interested in. And when I got to college, I realized that that was not something I wanted to follow. But my advisor, he stayed my advisor for about a year and still helped me figure things out. What I wanted to study possibly, in different classes I could take to maybe figure that out. And then I found out I wanted to double major in psychology and kinesiology. So he helped me find advisors for both of those majors. And since then, it's been a really great experience with both my advisors. They've been super helpful, really just wanting to know about my personal life, wanting to help me in any way, and then help with academics as much as they can.
Yeah, I have 2 advisors, one for history and one for politics. And my advisor for history, Dr. Herder, she was my academic advisor when I first came to Cornell. That was like assigned to me. And I enjoyed her assistance so much in helping like get all my academics on track, that I wanted to keep her as my advisor throughout the whole time I was at Cornell. And so I did. And then I think it was my second year, I took the time to find my second advisor for the politics major. And Dr. Thomas is great for helping me navigate that as well.
And I'm sorry, folks, I totally forgot to ask you to introduce yourselves. So would you mind telling our lovely audience members, obviously, your names, what year you are, what your majors are, and maybe what state you're coming from originally before you came to the beautiful land of Iowa?
I'm Sophia. I'm a senior here at Cornell, double majoring in psychology and kinesiology, and I am from Portland, Oregon.
And my name is Connor Duffus. I'm from Iowa, so same state as Cornell. And I also double major in politics and history.
Awesome, thank you. And how did you each find Cornell College in your college search, and what kind of was the tipping point that made you decide to attend Cornell?
I was recruited by the basketball coach to attend Mount Vernon. I scheduled an on-campus visit, and I completely loved it. Just the atmosphere of the team, and not even just the team, but just everyone else that I came in contact with on campus through all of the different meetings and seminars and stuff like that. And just on campus, everyone was so welcoming and nice, something that I was not used to from being, but it's really nice. Everyone was so caring and kind, and I felt like that was where it would be really good for me to go. So that's what made me choose to go to Cornell.
Yeah, I found Cornell pretty early in my college search, and it ended up being like the only school out of like 2 that I ended up applying for. So I'm glad I made it in. But when I first discovered Cornell, what really did draw me in was the one course at a time and the block plan. As I kind of like reflected on how I worked in high school, I found that I was doing only like 1 course or maybe 2 courses homework at a time. And that left my other courses that semester to kind of languish and fall behind. And at Cornell, because I only have 1 course at a time, of course, that problem went away. So that was really kind of the thing that drew me to Cornell and made me commit to Cornell. I also made 2 visits beforehand, and I absolutely love the campus. I love the close-knit community aspect that we have. There's only about 1,000 students at Cornell, so you regularly see the same people just walking around campus or in your class or at dinner. There's a very strong community aspect that I really loved.
I totally agree. I selected Cornell for very similar reasons. I've also visited twice, and during my second visit, I was standing right in front of the admissions office, and I had no idea where I was on campus. And I stopped a student to ask, "Can you tell me where the admissions office is?" And they just turned me right around, and they were like, "Do you need help? Who are you supposed to be talking with? Is it Joey?" And like took me into the admission office and showed me where I was supposed to be going. And I was like, "Why is everyone here so nice? This is shocking to me. I don't know why." Tell me, what has been your favorite in-class experience at Cornell, or just your favorite class in general? I know that's a hard one.
I would say my favorite course so far, it was a psychology class called Memory and Cognition. I loved it, just learning about how people think and how they learn and how they remember things. It was so fascinating to me. We did a lot of like activities where we actually got to see some things that we were learning about in person. We even got to go to an escape room just in the town about 2 minutes away in Lisbon, and got to work at the escape room, and it was a lot of fun. And we got to apply what we learned in class and lecture to an actual situation, and it was so interesting.
Yeah, that is a really tough question. I have to say, if I had to pick like one course that I absolutely love that I wish I could take it over again, it would be a history course I took that was called, I think, India's Independence. And the whole class was a simulation where the class got divided up into different groups that were active in creating the India that we know today. So I was part of the, I don't remember what faction I was part of, but there was like communist factions, the Muslim League faction. Gandhi was kind of his own faction, but he had, I think, like 2 or 3 supporters as part of the group. And we all worked together in class to kind of simulate the summits that took place and see if and the challenge was to create a better separation for breaking India off from the British Empire. In the case of our class, we did not. I think we got pretty close to what actually happened in real life, unfortunately. But I think when it happened again, they actually did create like a unified India and Pakistan. So good on them. I don't know how they did it, but because that's hard, but best class I've taken.
Those both sound awesome. I'm very jealous. I don't know if I had a favorite class at Cornell. I mean, studying abroad is always really great, but that seems like kind of a cop-out answer because you're in Italy and like that's probably going to be a good experience. Tell me about your favorite out-of-class experience, whether it's, it's something in athletics or fine arts or a club on campus or just hanging out in downtown Mount Vernon. I did a lot of that.
I really enjoyed athletics. It was a lot of fun just to experience, a new team, really getting to build that sense of community in the team. And I mean, we were pretty successful. I only played my first year. I've been out with injury ever since then, but it was just so much fun getting to kind of experience another kind of family away from home, to where I really got to know a group of girls and we were all just really close, and it was just a great experience. Something outside of that too, since my team was so close, I did join Greek Life on campus just to get to know some different people, and so it was another really great experience to meet some different people that I really wouldn't have met if I hadn't done that. And so those were 2 really great experiences that were completely separate from my classroom.
Yeah, I kind of have 2, I guess, as well. My first year, I was on the mock trial team, and we traveled to several places out of state, like St. Louis. That was probably the favorite competition that we had. Just going to St. Louis for the weekend and competing against different schools in their mock trial teams. That was really fun. I'd say like the other kind of off-campus experience that I've had was I took an elections class about 2 years ago. And what better way to study the election than, for starters, when it's going on, and second, for referencing like historical material, taking just like a half-hour drive to go to West Branch and visit the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library, spend a day and go through there and kind of learn, how Hoover's campaign worked, what factors led to his election and then election loss 4 years later. Those were 2 kind of my favorite experiences being off campus at Cornell.
Awesome. Thank you both. I know we're running a little close to time here, so I have one last thing for us to do. I want to play a rapid fire game of this or that of traditional Cornell things or experiences. So just your first response right off the bat. Library. Are you a 3rd floor person where you can talk, or are you a 2nd floor person, which is the study floor?
I'd say 2nd.
Yeah, 2nd floor as well.
Also a 2nd floor person. Cannot study when people are talking around me. Okay, dining hall or Zamora's Market?
I'd say Zamora's.
Yeah, probably Zamora's as well.
Also, late night chicken fingers. What are you going to do?
Yes.
Fine arts or athletics?
Just say athletics.
I'd have to say fine arts.
I was a fine arts person myself. Painting the rock or painting the kiosks?
Kiosks are easier.
I'd say rock. I think it gets more visibility.
The Palisades State Park or Lake McBride?
Right.
Yeah, Lake McBride.
I was a Palisades person myself. King Chapel or Alley Chapel?
Chapel.
Yeah, definitely King Chapel.
Ink Pond or the Sledding Hill?
Sledding Hill.
I'm going to say Ink Pond.
And this is my last question before we wrap things up. This is a make or break. I have thoughts about this. Late night breakfast or pet therapy day?
Ooh.
And they're the same day usually.
I want to say both for this one, but I don't think that's allowed.
I'll allow it.
Okay, then I got to go both.
Yeah, that's too hard to choose.
I totally agree. I would absolutely do both. I have been brought to tears at both over the love of donuts and the love of dogs. So for those who are tuning in, those are some of our stress reliever days that we have before finals, beloved obviously by our student body. So I want to say thank you to the folks who have tuned in. Thank you to our current students for coming and answering all of my ridiculous questions that I had for you. We, of course, always appreciate your time. And for the folks tuning in, if you would like to visit Cornell's campus, we are open for visitors almost every day of the week. So we would love to see you on campus. You can head to cornellcollege.edu/visit if you would like to schedule an on-campus visit, or we can do things virtually just like we're doing here. You can chat with our awesome current students. You can chat with a ridiculous admission counselor like me or some of our awesome faculty members. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to turn it back over to Skylar to wrap things up, but thank you so much for taking the time and tuning in, and good luck with the rest of your college search.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Megan, Connor, and Sophia. So glad that, you were able to educate us on Cornell. I learned a lot too. So thanks, everybody. A recording will be available of the session if you'd like to watch it again later. And have a good night. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.